The Orange Line.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Orange Line, the Philadelphia Flyers podcast, hosted by yours truly, Dr. PhD. Today, I'm joined with Nigel. He's back once again. He's finally in the booth, which is pretty cool, if he wants to say anything.
No, I don't have anything to say. It'll probably be pretty nice that, I'm not coming over via a voice call.
Yeah, it's a bit different for this time. And joining both of us today, we have our cousin, our mutual cousin.
Our friend?
Our friend.
Your friend.
Nice.
Nice.
Carrie Haley, if she wants to say anything.
Hey, what's up?
She's an actual season ticket holder, so she goes to all the Flyers games. She sees them disappoint week in
All the
and
time.
week out. But so right now, what were the past two games that we played? I mean, I should say that we're recording this on Thanksgiving, so we are having a great time.
Great.
I hope you did as well, but where were we in the last two games or so? We played up against the Sabres and lost 5-2.
Sure did.
And we went up against the Lightning and lost 6-5.
Sure did.
But that one was in overtime, so the Flyers can go, hey, we have another, we at least got a point out of this one, which is nothing you ever want to hear. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, were you at both of those games?
No.
Well, the one was in
against
Buffalo.
was
Oh,
in Buffalo.
Was
but,
it?
yeah.
I had no idea.
Wasn't the one in Tampa Bay also in Tampa Bay?
No, that was home.
No.
Was that home?
That was
Those I
part of
sold
the-
my tickets to a friend at
So
work.
you
of
didn't
course.
see either of them.
I didn't see either.
That's
There goes your
upsetting.
credibility.
There
But
The
there
whole
goes.
credibility
There.
that you had went right
Right
out
now.
the door.
I'm going tomorrow, so.
Well, I mean, so you that's kind of a testament to how bad these guys are playing.
Yeah.
Is that someone who willingly bought season tickets was like, yeah, I kind of don't want to go.
Sell these ones off.
Yeah, and I mean, you'd want to see the Lightning play.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
Is that why it was an easy sell?
Yeah.
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 But coming up later in the week, I think tomorrow we have the Rangers, who are 12-8-2, and then that's followed by Toronto, and I would not be looking forward to that game.
No.
Well, the Rangers have kind of been a shock this year. I mean, everyone kind of thought that they wouldn't be performing this
Yeah.
well. I mean, they were a young team coming in. They kind of sold shop. I mean, when did the season kind of saying we're rebuilding, and then they hold a playoff position, I believe, in the Metro right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't start off the season very hot, but they've been hot as of late anyway. They're with Derek Cheadle, right?
I think so.
Putting up
Yeah.
points left and right.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to see them play because they were like the Flyers but bad in a sense.
Yeah.
Like they had to rebuild off of some of these pieces that ended up leaving the team.
Yeah.
And they were pretty much resigned and being like, we're not going to make the playoffs. We're not
Mhm.
going to, be a successful team, but we're going to try to, move forward
Yeah.
as a team.
They wrote a letter to the fans as an organization
They're
saying,
like,
"Hey,
we're
we're in a
rebuilding."
rebuild."
Well, I
And,
mean, the thing was, they had a pretty good deadline last season. I felt like what they got for Rick Nash was a lot for what he probably brought to the table at that time.
wasn't too bad.
And the McDonough trade wasn't too bad for them either.
No, definitely not.
Well, so that's the thing is to see a team that, was kind of in, like I said, in a sense of the Flyers is gonna just rebuild and try to build on some newer and younger pieces, and now they're actually seeing some success. So, do you guys see any difference in what the Rangers are doing compared to what the Flyers are doing?
Well, they can pass the puck better.
Oh, well, yeah, that's pretty
They're
true.
the one.
They have a better system in place.
They have a much better system in place.
So, are
Their
you?
system plays into the strength of their players.
Well, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Instead of forcing a system
Exactly. That's
on the
clearly
players.
broken and
Yeah.
not working.
Well, I mean, clearly to the fans and everyone actually watching.
Whoa, not management. Remember, they think that we're the bad guys, not...
Yeah.
No. Management clearly just hasn't been watching.
True.
Gotcha.
Well, that's what it seems like in a way of, like, no one above Hextall cares about this team. You know, because when Ed Snyder was still alive and in control of this team, he treated it like, you know, I want this to be the best team possible, but I also want to be able to still, like, satisfy the fans in a way, because if the fans aren't behind them, then there's no point in them being on the team. And now it's, like, so corporate where it's kind of a feeling of, well, you know, you might not like it, but this is the way we are doing things. It's like when a corporate business is like, all right, we're going to change our whole policy. And everyone's like, yeah, but, like, don't do that. We don't like that. And they're like, fuck you. We don't care.
Except in this case, it's not, we're changing the policy. It's, we're going to keep the thing that
We're-
doesn't work.
We're going to keep the same shitty policy. God. I mean, I've said it to both of you tonight, but I really don't understand how, with Coach Q just being on the market, we still have Hackstall. Like, this is his last season in contract with us.
Is it this
At
season
least.
or next season?
I think he signed for 4.
I think
Right?
so,
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
So, from what I know, or what I think at least, this is Hackstall's last contractual season. And so, if you're going into this season and the fans already don't like him, and then they're not being successful, and then a great coach ends up being available, to me it kind of just seems like, okay, this guy's probably going to leave after this season anyway, so why don't we just let him go now and get someone else?
I think it really comes down to, I mean, like I mentioned to you earlier today, it's just a ego thing, a pride thing with Hexy. I mean, he finally handpicked his guy after he let Perugia go, and then it just hasn't been successful. You had an alright first season, made the playoffs. I mean, we touched on this on the last podcast that I was on.
Right.
So it's just something where it's like, I think it's a pride thing, where it's like, you really just are like, well, I don't want to be wrong, so I can't fire the guy that I hired. But I mean, we were talking about it before. It's like, you're going to get a situation where Coach Q gets hired, and then you fire Hex.
Yeah.
Well, that's the most Philadelphia Flyer thing to
absolutely.
do, is to make the worst decision after the best decision comes off the table.
Of course.
And the joke that we had last night, and I told you about today, was that the only other worst thing the Flyers could do other than re-sign Hackstall is to fire him and then have Ian LaPerriere be in control of the entire team, because he's just been doing such a bang-up job with the PK.
Oh, he sure has.
So
it's been fun to watch.
I just don't know how you keep him around. I mean, he's been in that position for 6 years now, and the PK has not been above the bottom third.
It goes back to it being a pride thing, I think. Like, oh, you took a puck to the face, so have a job
here
forever.
Here we go. We're just going to throw you a job.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're shitty.
Yeah. It's been a while since the penalty kill's been pretty solid.
Yeah. I wonder
the
how...
power play's taken a nosedive this year.
Well, nosedive for the past couple of years.
Well, yeah, it's been dipping.
Now, it's so weird, though, because I know him and I have talked about this before, but we've said that, like, they've finally figured out our power play, but it's weird to see that, like, the Capitals still have an amazing power play, and their power play is more linear than ours.
Yeah.
Pass the puck around until it gets to Ovechkin, and he's going to take the shot. That's what happens.
Rockets it into the net.
Yeah. And, you know, he still end up able to score, you know, goal after goal after goal. But we have so many options out there on the ice, especially with that first power play line.
Oh, yeah.
And they kind of just figured
it
it out.
Upsetting. They gotta get rid of the slingshot entrance, I think.
Yeah.
That's gotta go.
Well,
that hasn't worked.
That's been the
all
problem for the
season.
past 2 years, I think, is every power play, it's like, all right, get the puck, enter the zone, and they enter the zone the exact same way.
Well, it's a way that kind of, you know, warrants with the slingshot, I mean, you're kind of hoping that Drew's going to come up the slot and dance through people and get a shot off. But that's not the way that this power play is scored.
Yeah.
It's not that one guy dancing through everyone
Right.
and then, scoring that goal. It's really just
They
getting it in deep,
outside and
getting possession, and then working the puck.
Yeah.
I mean, so to what you said, the slingshot just isn't the system that they should be working.
Yeah.
Another thing is like, do you think Knobloch and LePerriere are the ones truly calling the shots on these special team units, or is it Hackstall saying, no, we're still going to do it this way, so there might be some sort of leeway? Because if LePerriere has terrible seasons under, Hackstall and Berube, and then you still keep him on, who's really calling the shots? Is he a guy who's not being successful in, coaching the PK, or is it Hackstall saying, well, he's just the guy who's going to listen to me, so that's perfectly fine if I'm the one still, saying how this is going to be run and saying the system that's going to be in place.
He's just the face.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
the pawn.
That's possible. I mean, that makes the pride for him still being in that position a little bit more, like, realistic, I guess. Of, like, we can keep him in that position because we know it's not actually him doing anything. It doesn't, matter. But part of me, I don't want to hope for this, but part of me just wants to assume, like, this can't all be Hackstall's fault. I don't want to solely blame every facet of the Flyers game on Hackstall. It very well could be, because that makes sense. But for blaming the power play and the penalty kill on Hackstall, I feel like it still has a little bit to do with the respective coaches.
Sure, I mean, and that's kind of how you would hope it would be run. You don't want the system where it's like, this is your PK guy, this is your power play guy, and hopefully they're the ones calling the shot there. That's just, could it be a situation where where Hackstall's actually the guy running the show and, you just have your pieces fall in line? I mean, you'd hope that you'd hire guys to coach, their respective, special teams the way that they should. It shouldn't be the head coach calling everything if you're delegating, positions.
Right. But still, like, that power plays and penalty kills are such an important part of playing hockey because it's a game that's so physical that it's rare when there are 0 penalties called in a game. So to be able to capitalize on those times when you have a man up or being able to stop the other team from capitalizing in that situation, it's so important. And the fact that the Flyers have just been bad at both ends of the spectrum for the past 2 or 3 seasons kind of, it blows my mind because you just want to hope, like, someone sees it and goes, okay, we can't let this happen game after game after game.
And considering both have been so deadly in the past, too.
Yeah, well,
I think there was a time when both were ranked first,
or
at least in the top 5.
Yeah, and that was before they figured out the system, which still blows my mind. I mean, we have Simmons in front, we have Giroux and Voracek on the sides. Up top, we have Ghost, and then whoever ends up being in,
throw in there.
Yeah, in that spot that really just kind of jams it right to Simmons. But it's weird to think that system doesn't work anymore, but there's so many pieces out there.
The talent's there. It's just they got to find something that's going to work for them.
And it doesn't help that they're not better 5-on-5. 5-on-5, they're still abysmal when you look at the way they play hockey and the the results that they're getting from these players. And like you just said, it's not a lack of talent. It really isn't.
No,
I mean, you look at the team, you have top talent people, so you would think you'd be able to produce 5-on-5 if you can't do it from a power play perspective.
Yeah, and, well, I think an important thing to kind of think about for the 5-on-5 aspect is that it's not that they're a bad team playing 5-on-5. We've seen that they can be a really, really good team playing 5-on-5. It's just they don't do that for 60 minutes.
No.
Especially, like, we can see that 20 minutes in the first period is enough to completely wipe out the hopes and dreams of this team. Because Buffalo, they scored 4 goals in the first, and then the Flyers were like, okay, I guess we have to play now.
Now we're going to show them.
Well, and that's kind of been the whole thing through Hackstall's tenure. It's just been slow starts on top of slow starts, and then you're just coming back in games.
Yeah.
It's like it's not sustainable.
Yeah. And they make the stupidest little mistakes, too. They can't clear their own zone. Turnovers. Oh, my God. Turnovers in the neutral zone, defensive zone, offensive zone.
Yeah, it's been...
Have led to so many more chances for the opposing teams.
It's been real rough. Yeah. And so that's why I think that while their 5-on-5 absolutely has problems, it really seems more of that the team doesn't want to play rather than them not being able to play.
Yeah.
Because
it looks as though they're not buying in anymore.
Yeah.
They've shut down a little bit.
Well, I mean, the real question is, when did they ever buy in under Hack?
True. They really haven't.
Yeah, it's
not from what I've seen anyway.
It's rough to watch that as a fan too, only because you just want to see your team play hockey at the least.
And, at least make it a game.
And watching the Flyers play sometimes, it's like they're not even doing the one thing I wanted them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would want them to win. You would want them to, score awesome goals and absolutely be on top of the other team. But at the same time, it's like you're not playing the whole time. You're not doing everything. You're coming into it and going, I'll skate around for a little bit.
Maybe someone will run into me. Maybe something will happen.
Yeah, and then they're down 2 goals, and Ian LaPerriere's like, I don't know how they scored on the penalty kill, and then Hackstall's behind the bench going, go play some hockey. I don't have emotions.
Let's do this.
Let's do that hockey.
He always looks like he has this fucking confused face behind the bench. Like, he just gets scored on, and then it's like,
how do they do that?
How'd they do it? How did that happen? And it's like, Hackstall, this has been happening for 3 seasons. Figure it out. Figure it out. Have the ability to coach a team. That's
the thing, is throughout his entire tenure, he just hasn't changed anything. And I understand, like, if you have a system that you think works, like, you'd want it to kind of be whatever you're able to do to win. But you still have to evolve that system.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can't just go, this is how we're playing, and this is never going to change.
Eventually it'll work. Well, it's not going to eventually just work.
The scientific method literally, states that if your hypothesis doesn't work out by the end, you should probably change the hypothesis. Exactly. And he's not doing that. So, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. David Hackstall is not a scientist.
He's not.
Because he doesn't know how to use the scientific method. And we have an engineer here who can back that up.
Sure. I mean, that's not like a scientist. It's more like an applied scientist.
So you said scientist.
Yeah.
I am right.
Yeah, I make batteries.
Oh, he makes batteries.
You just stamp them on the assembly line.
He just stamps them.
Well, I was at a game. Of course I was at a game. I have season tickets. And
you have season tickets?
I have season tickets. Yeah, crazy. I know. And it was during a TV timeout, and I was just, I decided I'm going to watch the bench and see what happens. I forget who they were playing, but they had the entire team around the bench listening to the coach. Meanwhile, the Flyers are skating around the ice. Not a single one of the coaches is taking any time to take out the board and draw up a play or anything. They're just like, man, whatever. TV timeout, we're going to take it as a, as a break real quick. The entire other team all around the coach. He's got the board out.
Yeah.
He's talking to them. He's animated. Nothing from the Flyers bench.
So maybe that could be the other thing, is a lack of real communication from higher ups to the team, because we all, like, the coach has to talk to the team. Mm-hmm. There's no way that they're both going to be able to exist at the same time and not talk to each other. But it seems like the team might not want to understand the coach because they just don't like the way he wants to run things. And the coach doesn't want to talk to the team because God forbid they tell him that they don't like his system.
Yep.
Do you think it's an intimidation thing with him then? Do you think he's afraid to then vocalize his opinion? Like in the moment?
know.
Is he not trying to make mid-period adjustments, or is it only intermission adjustments where you're really trying to, make that change?
Yeah.
And in that sense, we don't even know if that's happening or not.
Truth.
I wouldn't want to try to psychoanalyze Dave Haxtell and be like, he's intimidated because all of these teams are... Yeah, but at the same time...
You have a psychology degree.
I do have a psychology
That
degree.
makes... It makes sense, though, of, like, he wouldn't want the team to be down on how he wants the thing run, so he only gives the gist of it, and they're like, yeah, well, okay, whatever, nerd.
Yeah,
They're all waiting for him in the parking lot. Like, we're gonna get this nerd's lunch money.
fourth longest tenured coach.
Blows my mind.
It really does.
Yeah, it's time for
It's
him to be
You'd think
the
he won a couple cups or
last
something.
one on that
Yeah,
list.
right? You'd think. One would think. Or at least get us somewhat close instead of just squeaking into the playoffs every year.
And then being blown out.
Yeah. It's like at that point, I might as well just not make the playoffs if we're just going to lose in 5-6 games.
Well, so that was the thing that I kind of touched on with him in one of our podcasts is we were talking about whether the Flyers have actually like improved as a team since before Haxall was the coach and all the way up to now. And weirdly enough, last season was the highest point total of the past 6 seasons. And that was also the season that we ended up making the playoffs in the last game, which is kind of really shitty.
Yeah.
Considering, and, like, you can say that Haxtell has, like, kind of improved in a way, because he went from 94 points to 88 points, and then all the way up to 98. But in terms of where they're landing in the East and with the other teams in their division, it's like, you're not doing anything. You're barely getting there, and that's why you're getting along, which is... It's so shitty, because it's just like, you either want the guy to be successful and then we can back him for that, or you want him to be shitty so we can just get him out, and that's not happening.
He's so terribly, consistently inconsistent, too. I think I've said that over the last couple weeks. They're just so consistently inconsistent.
We can always count on them to do the most oddball thing.
Oh, yeah. Like the 10-game losing streak last year, and then, all of a sudden, 6-game win streak.
Yeah.
Alright, so that puts us, up by a little bit, but
and that's
it's insane.
That's one thing. I don't want to have to tackle the Flyers media, but the one thing that annoys me about some Flyers media is they go on a 5-game win streak and they're like, the Flyers are shooting up the rankings. Like, no, don't get people excited about this. Like, they are in the past 5 games, but like when you realize where they're going to end up, they're not gonna be at the top.
No,
you're out of your mind to think that they're a top team in the Metropolitan right now. They got lucky.
And when they're on those tears, they're actually shooting the puck. And then once they start losing, you notice, for some reason they decide to stop shooting the puck. It's always
right when we think something is like kind of happening with the office and with the team, though. It's like the 4-game Western road trip that we did,
out to Cali,
we ended up getting 7 of 8 points, and everyone beforehand was like, I don't know, they've been playing really bad. Maybe Haxtell's on the fence. No one knows.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they have that streak, and it's like, great, fucking, now they're not going to get rid of this guy. Thanks a lot for winning these games, you jerks. I love the Flyers, but sometimes I hate the Flyers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I feel like that just kind of comes with the territory
so rough
of being
sometimes.
a Philly fan.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing we talked about in one of our other podcasts.
I think the last one.
Yeah, in the last podcast we did. But we were talking about how Philly is just a disappointing sports city.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a commercial that I see on YouTube a lot, and I always forget what it's for because I skip past it immediately. But the first line that they have is, in the city of champions, and they show Lincoln Financial.
Oh.
And I go, no, no. We won one championship. We are not the city of champions.
Don't go putting that on us.
I'll be so honest about that. I'm so proud of all the championships that Philly has won. But no, we haven't won championships like LA, like Boston, like, you know, just looking at cities and championships, New York is up there just because of the Yankees. Yeah. You know, Montreal's up there just because of the Canadiens.
Well, I mean, that was mainly, you know, pre-expansion.
It doesn't matter, though.
They did have that dynasty in the 70s, but, I mean...
That's championships, and if you're going to go City of Champions, you should probably have a lot of championships.
Probably. Not just one Super Bowl, 2 World Series, 2 Cups.
I like
one Super Bowl, then flashback 10 years to the World Series. Flashback, I think, like 14 years or something like that for Philly Sixers, and then flashback like 20-some years from that for the Flyers.
The Sixers was what, 83?
I
think it was 83.
Don't test me on my Sixers knowledge.
But,
it's embarrassingly low.
The funny part about people saying like the City of Champions for Philadelphia is it's like they'll like rope in like the Philadelphia Kicks and like the Philadelphia Soul in there, and it's like what people don't realize is that the Arena Football League has 5 teams. You have a 20% chance of winning. You have a 50% chance pretty much of being in that final. It's like that's not even a league.
Well, but here's the thing though, is back when that league did have a lot of teams in it, the Soul were still the best team.
I think they only have like 3 championships though. I don't.
In total?
Didn't they just go back
I think
to
so.
back?
No, in total they've got like 7 or 8.
Do they really?
Yeah, they're stacked.
It's because of Bon Jovi, man. He brings that magic.
True, he really does.
But it's like people will also try and like rope in like, oh, the Villanova Wildcats were good too. It's like they're a college team. That doesn't count.
They're not even in Philadelphia. And it's okay to lump them with Philadelphia, but like in terms of where they are, they're not even Philly. In the city.
Like if it was Temple, okay. Temple's actually in Philly.
Well, I mean,
Temple's won a championship before, so city of champions.
But here's the thing. I don't know if I agree with that in the city argument. Because we went to Ottawa last year on whatever Canadian road trip. I think it was in February for the Flyers.
Right.
And that stadium was good 40 minutes outside of the city in like just this like industrial park or whatever you want to call it. It's like there's no one there. It's like we go out, we start tailgating, and it's like we're there like 2.5 hours before the game, and people are showing up like when we're showing up and just going right inside. It's like, what's inside? What are you doing?
What's inside? Hockey?
No, it's not even warm-ups yet.
Right.
But it's like we're sitting there freezing our ass off because it's like Ottawa in February, and it's like, oh, maybe that's what they're doing. It's just warm in there. It's like it was us and then people who showed up like 20 minutes before the game from like Jersey, and it's like, you guys want Jaeger? You guys want Jaeger? Shots of Jaeger?
Nice.
Well, that's like how the Union are in Chester, which is what, like a good hour outside of Philly.
I think.
Well, it depends which part of Philly. That's the same thing. Like we're like 5 minutes from the city limits if you really think about
it. That's true.
But like from the stadium,
we're talking about
like
Philly. We're not talking about Philly. We're talking about Philly.
Well, here's the thing: South Philly is still 10 minutes from Center City. South Philly.
I don't need your logic right now. I want to be upset that Philadelphia is not the city of champions.
Absolutely
not. And the thing that I think is the most upsetting about it is that every year for almost every single team we go, this could be the year. This could be it. It's going to be this year. And then when they start losing, they go, next year. Yep. Next year's going to be the year.
It's always this year.
I didn't think that's where you were going with it. I thought you were going in the direction of every team that ever wins a championship is like, we're the city of champions now. Washington, D.C., we have a cup, we're the city of champions. Like fucking Pittsburgh does the same thing. They claim to be the city of champions. Ugh. There's really one city of champions, and I hate to say it, but it's probably Boston.
Oh, yeah.
They like have a championship in every sport. Yeah. Like every 5 years. Yeah. Every 5 years pretty much since, 2000, 2004 when, the Red Sox finally did it, and it's like, fucking run through shit.
That's why I've always said it's got to be so easy to be a Boston fan.
Right, though.
It's got to be so
You
easy
could be
to
so
just
disappointed one year and be like,
skate
you know
by.
what, we could win something next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably will, too.
Damn it, we lost in that finals.
Yeah, right?
Again. Yeah.
This is so
They're always in the
shitty.
finals.
They suck. And we're sitting here like, what the
We didn't even
fuck?
make it.
We had to wait till the last game.
to even make the playoffs.
You guys were playing college kids for the last 10 games of your season. The fuck?
And still winning.
Yeah. It's so annoying. That's why I can't stand Boston fans.
Yeah.
Because they're always like, we're the greatest. It's like, shut up. We know. We don't need to keep hearing it. Like, I don't want to admit it, but like, God, you don't have to keep telling people. It's the worst.
I agree.
But thank you so much, Kerry
Hey,
and Nigel, for
yeah.
joining me on the Orange Line today.
Totally.
We had a good time.
We did.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Yeah.
And happy Black Friday and Cyber Monday. This is probably going to come out on Tuesday, so
Perfect.
all of these days have already passed. But I hope everyone enjoyed listening to this. If you want to follow me anywhere, it's going to be at Dr. PhD on everything. DocTerPhD. I know Nigel still probably has nothing to plug.
I have nothing to plug.
And I don't know if Kerry wants to. Do you have a Twitter or anything? Do you
I do, but I don't really tweet anymore.
Oh, that's okay.
Twitter, Insta, Finsta.
Twitter. I don't have a Finsta, but I do have a regular Insta.
You can tweet at her at Dr. PhD, DocTerPhD.
I'll eventually find it.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. And thank everyone for listening. Have a good one.